Hello everyone, a bit of a different one for you today. I have the immense privilege to unbox and review the latest Armory deck to the Armory deck family, which is Maxx the Hype Nitro. Now, if you want to get your hands on this one, it will be released on the 17th of April 2025. So this video will be unscripted. I will be opening this and giving my general thoughts and review on the content, look at the synergies, and possibly provide some upgrades, but on a budget. At time of recording, my So You Want to Play Maxx is not quite ready yet, but I will link it to this video description when it's ready. But anyway, enough talking. Let's switch to my overhead camera and have a look at this deck. All right, and I'm back. Now, just a couple of things. I recorded a good 20 minutes of this video until I realized I had no sound. So I opened the box, but just trust me when I say this. Look at the rip. It's not clean. It was not satisfying. My rip game is not up to snuff. So I will try to get better next time. So you didn't miss anything satisfying here. Anyway, second bit, it's rush hour now. There's car noises. Might get loud sometimes. I'm very sorry, but let's just work with it, right? Anyway, that's the packaging. Let's look at the deck. Before I jump into the Armory suite, which I'm really excited about talking, let's just recap what Maxx does. So once per turn action for 2 resources, create a hyperdriver token with 2 steam counters. Activate this only if you boosted this turn, and the hyperdrivers you control get crank. Okay, so first of all, Maxx, let's put him here. He creates hyperdriver tokens. So hyperdriver tokens do not start in deck. They live in the arena once they're created, and once they have no more resources on, like with steam counters on them, they just cease to exist. So they don't go to your graveyard. They don't get banished. So the minute that they leave the arena, they just cease to exist. But they can't live under other permanents, which we will cover a bit later. Now, we do play with some hyperdrivers in deck, and I will get them out. So the Maxx Armory deck does come with rainbow hyperdriver. So these will be shuffled in your deck. Now note that the second part of his hero ability says hyperdrivers you control get cranked. So this is your token and your regular hyperdrivers as well. So this is really quite relevant, and we'll have a look at this synergy a bit later. Now, before I continue, just a side note, I'm gonna push them down because I'm so happy I'm gonna get to use these now. I have beautiful hyperdriver tokens that were created by Azuardi, and I'm gonna show them to you. I'm so happy I'm gonna get to play with these. So hyperdriver Maxx, hyperdriver-io, and hyperdriver Donadol. So I'm stoked that these are gonna be now my little token hyperdrivers that I'm gonna be rocking when playing Maxx. So anyway, that was just a side note. So thank you, Azuardi. You're the best. All right, so back to Maxx. All right, now let's have a look at his trusty wrench weapon, which is a Maxx specialization. And from time of recording, I believe that's the only, like, his own hero specialization that he has. I don't believe he has other ones. Also, that's his signature weapon. So when he reaches Living Legend, he will take Banksy with him. So anyway, what does Banksy says? So once per turn action for 1 resource attack, you activate this only if you've cranked this turn. So when this hits a hero, put a steam counter on an item you control with crank. So basically, this could be any items that you may play in your deck that has crank, or it can be your hyperdrivers because they have crank. But note, you need to have crank that turn to be able to swing with Banksy. So if you haven't been able to activate his hero ability and crank, or play the hyperdriver and cranked it, well, unfortunately, even if you have like a floating resource, you cannot attack with Banksy, unfortunately. So let's look at the other things that are included in the deck. We have his art card, and on the other side you have a QR code, and I'm not exactly sure where it directs you. I believe it's the deck list and how to play Maxx. I'm not entirely sure. So I haven't checked this QR yet, but if you're able to, if it's zoomed in enough, and you can probably have a look what it is. Now, next we have the Armory, not the Armory, the Armor Suite. And let's just jump right into this. Whoops, like this, because this got me really excited. So correct me if LSS is watching this. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't know if it says on the box. Does it say? Maybe in the fine print. Oh, it's too small. I can't really see. Does it say? I can't read. It's too small. I believe Carol designed these, I think, or designed the overall deck. So if it's you, Carol, good job. I really, really like these a lot. And typically a lot of the Armory decks out of the box, they're fantastic. But if you want to go an extra mile with the decks, the Armory suite is not always up to snuff. But these, I think, maybe sometimes you'll remove one piece for like specific matchup. I think if you're building Maxx a certain, like the way that it's intended to be played with this Armory deck anyway, these are fantastic. So let's have a look at what they do. I'm going to leave the headpiece last because it has a little bit of extra text. So the puffer jacket, let's do it like this. So the puffer jacket says, non-token hyperdrivers you control enters the arena with an additional steam counter. And then it has temper too. Now, this is, if you're playing all 9 hyperdrivers in your deck, this is great. Because you can play a hyperdriver, crank it to gain your action point back, and it regains the steam counter just lost because of puffer jacket, this is fantastic. And if you can find sneaky ways to cheat an item from banish zone onto the arena and you crank it, you not only gain your steam counter back, but you gain an action point because you're playing that item from banish without using your action point, which is really great. But we'll look at this a bit later, or a learn to play that's going to come out soon. Then we have fist pump, and I will probably cluster these two in the same category because they have a synergy when the hyperdriver gets banished. So the fist pump says whenever you banish a hyperdriver from boosting, target wrench you control gets +1 attack power this turn, and this has battle worn 1. So this is great because, first of all, you block with it and it doesn't break. The ability on fist pump is just active always when you banish a hyperdriver. So that means your Banksy potentially can come in for an extra +1, which is pretty good because that's a break point. Then drive break says whenever you banish a hyperdriver from boosting, remove a -1 armor counter. So I forgot to show you these because I re-recorded, but this comes with little sheets of steam counters, and you flip them and you have -1. So let's say you have a -1 on this and you banish a hyperdriver, it loses the -1. So this, you have kind of a lot of benefit to blocking early with it, so you can gain a lot of value out of it. So these are your banish ones. So as you notice, all of these were mechanologist equipment, but this one, so I don't know how to say, the Breaker Helm Protos, I guess, is a little different. This one is really gas. I really like this one. So when this defends, you may discard a hyperdriver. If you do, draw a card, and this gets +1 armor until the end of the turn. Has temper 1. So let's say I need to block this turn. I have a hyperdriver in my hand and I have a bunch of other cards, and I really wish I had another card in my hand. So you could block with your breaker helm. You could discard your hyperdriver, draw back a card to fix your hand, and all of a sudden this gets +1. So meaning your temper 1 is now temper 2, meaning it won't break on the first block, which is really, really good. Fixes your hand at the same time. The other bit here, it says Mechanologist Equipment Base Head. So in Bright Lights, it was introduced, you had Evo cards that can be played on top of base equipment. This deck doesn't include any Evo cards, but this is it gives you design space if you want to include Evo cards. So Evo headpiece. And there's really interesting ones that can be included in Maxx deck. I'm not going to cover them today, but make sure that you do check my So You Want to Play Maxx. I will be covering some examples of Evo headpieces that can be included. So these really heavily synergizes with your hyperdriver plan. So if you're playing these equipment, I would really suggest playing the hyperdrivers that come with this deck. I would not remove any of them. Play all 9 of them, because you want to gain maximum value of your hyperdrivers. Sorry, my nose, I've been sneezing a bit. I have some allergies, so sorry if I sound a bit nasally. All right, the first section of this deck, I would probably say, is your starters. So just to give you an example why I'm calling them starters, let's say I'm controlling a hyperdriver and it has, let's say, 2 steam counters on it. At the moment, I don't have access to the resource that the hyperdriver is generating. I need to boost first and then gain the resource out of it. So the best cards you want to boost at the beginning of your turn will be a 0-cost card. So let's see the ones that are included in this deck. We have Data Link, 3 of Expedite, 3 of Sprocket Rocket, 3 T-Bones, 3 0 to 50, 3 0 to 50, Reds, and we have 3 0 to 50, 0 to 60 yellow, but it's not the best one. It's more in a pinch, and you can pitch it or you can block with it. So one by one, let's have a look at really quickly why these are included. So first we have Data Link. When it boosts, when it hits, it ops 1. Then you have Expedite. If you boost it, if it hits, it lets you put an item from your hand into the arena, but it has to cost 0 or 1. So it will hit your hyperdriver since they cost 1. So this is a way, if it hits, you can cheat in an action point. Sprocket Rocket is I'm on and off this card. I like it in Dash.io. In this deck, I don't mind it because you do have a lot of items. You gain a lot of equity with this card when you are able to boost a card that's an item, because all of a sudden it's a 0 for 4. But if you don't boost an item away, well, it's just a 3. On and off on this one. T-Bone Red, you force people to block with their equipment. So when you're boosting this one, they have to defend with an equipment if they can. Then you have your vanilla 0 to 50, which is a 0 for 3. And then you have your 0 to 60, which is probably the premium you want to see these. I wish as a mechanologist player that we had more of these, but I understand why they're not printing more, because a 0 for 4 that basically doesn't really have a conditional go again. It's so easy to boost and gain the action point. It's an easy go again, let's just say. So these are the cards you would like to start your turn with. And then once you boost these away, then you have access to that resource. All right, now I have some resources to play with because I boosted a resource out of my hyperdriver. So what cards that are, I would say probably more of your higher damage cards, your role players. They don't necessarily give you on hit, but it's just additional damage that's costing you way less because of that hyperdriver that you created. So vanilla damage, but all of a sudden you can come in for 0 for 5 because I have created a resource off my hyperdriver, which is really good. So we have 3 zipper hits. Then we have 2 red throttles, which is a 2 cost. Then we have Jumpstart, which is really good if you're controlling a hyperdriver, because this is a 2 for 5, but it becomes all of a sudden a zipper hit when you are controlling a hyperdriver. Fantastic. And then last but not least, and I will make some room because this one, there's been a lot of chatter. We've got One Heist. So this one has a lot of synergy with the current version of this Armory deck. It only has one. It's a premium card. Typically it's not a very cheap card to buy, but it's great that we have one. So it costs 2 and it says boost. When this hits a hero, you may put an item with cost 0 or 1 from your banish zone into the arena under your control. So this means your opponent will want to block this unless you're playing it just for the attack because you have no hyperdrivers or you don't have a zero cost or 1 cost item in your banish zone. So I would probably say if you're going to play this card, if a lot of your deck synergizes with this card, I would wait to make sure that you have a target before playing this. Unless you're really at the point that I just need to present some damage, and sure, you can play it for 5. So this is a great card. Okay, the next category, I don't know what I'm going to call it. Let's call it the replenishing cards. I don't know. You'll get it in a second. So these cards typically you don't really want to play. In a pinch you can. The red one here is a 2 for 5, but you really want to boost them away. So why do I want to boost these? So it says when this is banished from boosting, put a steam counter on a hyperdriver you control. So let's say I have a hyperdriver, it has 1 steam counter, and all of a sudden I'm boosting a crankshaft. So this card here away, I would lose the hyperdriver because it has no more counter on it, but all of a sudden, hey, I will gain the resource, and then this will get to stay on the board because I can put the steam counter on it from the crankshaft. Excellent. This is really good. So how many do we have of these? So we have 3 red crankshaft. I believe we have rainbow. So 3, yep. We have 3 reds, 3 yellows, and 3 blues. I really, really like the blue ones the best because it's a 3 block. It pitches for 3. It's great. Then we have Big Bertha. I love that name. I really love Big Bertha. She's really great. Big Bertha is just, she's a 3 cost, but she's basically the big sister of Crankshaft. So she does the exact same thing. So these of course exist in yellow. So it would be a yellow it would be a 3 for 5 in yellow, and it would be a 3 for 6 in red. But personally, I don't think I would ever see myself playing the yellow one. Red one maybe in a sideboard, but the blue one is a good card to play. The next cards, and we're getting close to the last few pieces of the deck, will be the category, the new cards included in this deck. And I'll start with Twin Tech Charging Station. So this one is interesting. So first of all, every Armory deck will come with 1 foil version, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it looks really good. I really love the foiling of Flesh and Blood cards. It's just, they're phenomenal. So let's look at Twin Tech Charging Station. It says, the next attack you boost this turn gets +3 attack power, and you may shuffle a hyperdriver from your graveyard into your deck, and if you do, you gain 1 resource. It has go again. So it's a 0 cost, and it blocks for 2. I think with this Armory deck, this is fantastic. Not sure about if it's going to see competitive play, but I haven't tested this yet, so I have no idea, but I think within this Armory deck, this is spectacular, and I'll showcase why. So let's say let's pick the foil one, because I love foils. This is in my arsenal, and I have Heist, and I have, let's pick the premium one, a 0 to 60, and I'm tapped out. I was forced to block. I have these 2 cards in hand, and I have a hyperdriver in my graveyard. Okay, I don't have the resources to pay for this Heist right now, but hey, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna play Twin Tech Charging Station for 0 cost. I have a hyperdriver in my graveyard. I will shuffle it back into my deck. Perfect. I get a resource. Let's pretend the steam counter is a resource. I don't have dice right now on me. Now I'm going to play my 0 to 60. Now my 0 to 60, I will boost. By boosting, I will remove a steam counter from the hyperdriver I'm controlling. All of a sudden, hey, I'm controlling 2 resources. So all of a sudden now my 0 to 60 is coming in for a total of 7. And then I can then play Heist with the 2 resources I gain from this. Not a bad turn, really. 7 damage that they're going to have to think about a bit. And then a on hit that's coming that can be quite relevant if you have a hyperdriver and banish. So if you ask me, this card in this deck, perfect. It's really good. All right, the next new card that we're going to look at is Clamp Press. So again, there's a foil version of this one. So this is an item here. It costs 2, it's a blue, it has crank, and it says, this enters the arena with 2 steam canners. At the start of your turn, destroy this unless you remove a steam canner from it. Wrenches you control gets +2 attack power. Great. All right, so that means my little Banksy with this item on the board can come in for 5, making it a bit more annoying to block. Even better, let's say I'm controlling a clamp press, I have a steam counter on it, and I have only 1 steam counter left on my hyperdriver that I'm controlling. Let's try to put them all on frame here. Sorry everyone if stuff is not on frame. And remember this equipment, fist pump. Let's just shift everything. Let's put them, that's not how you display things usually, but let's just bear with me here. All right, let's say this is what I got here. I crank this turn. I'm ready to go swinging with my Banksy. So my Banksy with 1 resource will come in for 5. But if I happen to have banished on top of that a hyperdriver this turn, all of a sudden for 1 resource with the clamp press, my Banksy is attacking for 6. So this is great synergy right here when you look at this. But I just want a quick note on this though. So I'm going to put all of these away. So clamp press, I don't know if you noticed, and I did mention it, it's a 2 cost. So if you have this in your banish zone and you're playing Heist, unfortunately, this is not a card that you can bring back because Heist works with 0 and 1 cost cards, unfortunately. All right, and the last new card we have, the Construct Bank Breaker. And you're going to say, Jackie, where's the foil? I don't know where's the foil. LSS, where's the foil? No, but honestly, I'm just joking. Historically, I believe that every Armory deck came with 2 of the new cards foil. So in this case, we had the clam press and we had the twin tech charging station. So they probably said, oh, well, it's not fair to put 3 foils. It would have been nice, but anyway, this is just me rambling. I love foiling out all of my mechanologist decks, so I'm gonna have 3 cards that not foil. So hopefully this will be foiled one day. But anyway, what does it do? Let's have a look. So when it's shuffled in your deck, it's a yellow pitch. It's a 0 cost, and it blocks for 3. And it says if you have a wrench weapon equipped, transform it and 3 hyperdrivers you control into bank breaker. Then equip bank breaker. Go again. So perfect time to put my 3 beautiful hyperdriver tokens from Aswardi. So I control 3 of these. I will stack them on top of each other. I'm going to put Banksy on top, and I will transform to bank breaker. So you're going to, by transforming, you're flipping the construct into the bank breaker. And yes, you're going to stack all the other cards underneath. And what does bank breaker says? It says twice per turn action. And for 1 resource attack, activate this only if you crank this turn. So this has the same clause as your Banksy here. But it says when this attacks, you may banish a card from under it. If you do, the attack gets overpower and go again. And now, of course, you can attack with this without removing the card, but it's just a 1 for 3. It's worse. It's kind of worse than your Banksy because it doesn't have the on hit of Banksy that can put a steam counter on a hyperdriver you control. But where this shines is, let's say that I banish a hyperdriver this turn, I'm controlling fist pump, and I have a clam press in play as well. Well, then all of a sudden, my bank breaker is coming in for potential 6, banishing one of the cards off my bank breaker. It gets overpower and has go again. Have another resource? Hey, look at me. Pay again, come again for 6, overpower, go again. Now, of course, you can't hit 3 times with this, but it still has go again. So there are some plays that you can potentially get absurd amount of damage if you happen to have enough resources available to you. So here we are. The last 9 cards in the deck, and we already covered these. It will be your rainbow hyperdrivers, and they're the star of that deck, obviously. Now, let me clean all of this because you're not seeing it. The whole deck is all over the place. I'm going to clean this up, and let's have a look at what I feel could be a potential upgrade to this deck. And let's do it on a budget as well. Okay, let's have a look at a few possible options for upgrades, and I'll throw in some sideboard options as well, but we want to keep it as budget friendly as possible. So I'm going to talk about Breaker Helm Protoss. Now, of course, I love this equipment. It doesn't change anything, but one card that is quite expensive still at time of recording is Heist. I know that's not a head equipment, but the whole purpose of Heist is when it hits, it's grabbing one of your 0 or 1 cost item, which will be your hyperdrivers from the banish zone. Now, if there was something that could synergize with your hyperdrivers being banished instead of counting on the heists on hit, well, there actually is, and it's called Hyper X3. So it says, whenever you banish a hyperdriver from boosting, put it under this. Once per turn, when a hyperdriver is put under this, if there are 3 or more hyperdrivers under this, draw a card, and it has Battle Worn 1. So when you block with it, it's not going to break. Now you're going to say this is a legendary, and Heist is not a legendary. Yes, absolutely, but Hyper X3 only really at the moment functions with Maxx. Heist is played by most mechanologists, probably -IO, mostly at the moment. But Hyper X3 at the moment is not a very expensive legendary, so it's a good pickup if you want to pick it up right now. I would probably move these 2 in the sideboard, if anything, really. Now, Keep in mind, all the other equipment will still synergize with this. So when your hyperdriver get banished, they still trigger. So your fist pump will still give +1 to your wrench, even if it's going underneath the Hyper X3. So that would be my first one. The second one, well, the obvious one, well, the heist, I would move into the sideboard and I would replace it with another red throttle. We know that the Maxx deck do come with 2 red throttles, so I would just replace the heist from the deck and put it in the sideboard and put the red throttle. The next possible upgrade would be 0 to 50. Now, this card is a 0 for 3 and it's just vanilla damage. There's no on hit like Data Link and Expedite, so it's not really where you want to be. It's okay as a starter, but there's other options. So one of the options would be Fast and Furious. Now you're going to say, this is a Majestic. Is this really budget? I think it still falls under the category of a budget because at the moment, they're not very expensive. They're only printed in the -IO Armory deck, but a few people have cracked them open. There's a few in the secondary market that are not that expensive, so it's worth a look. If it's still too expensive for you, there are other options, and I'll bring them up in a minute. So what does it do? So this is a 0 for 3 as well, but it says boost. If you've cranked this turn, this gets +1 attack power. When this is banished from boosting, put a steam counter on an item you control with crank. So this is not bad. It's not always amazing as a starter because it would be only a 0 for 3 unless you played a hyperdriver before and you cranked it. Then it would be a 0 for 4. But it's a good chain extender as well. The other part to me, which makes it really great for Maxx, is that if it's banished from boosting, you can put a steam counter on an item you control with crank. So all your hyperdrivers has crank, so it can replenish your hyperdrivers, and it can also replenish your clamp press because it's a crank item as well. So it's a good card. I really do like this one. Other one I would probably say, I don't know if it's, I don't think it would be an upgrade, but I think more of a side grade or possible sideboard option will be the Data Link. I actually don't mind Data Link. I think it serves a good purpose in the deck. So maybe treat the others I'm showing as maybe an upgrade for your 0 to 50. If you find that the Fast and Furious are a bit too expensive. So we have the Dumpster Dive and we have the Medics. Now, the big difference here is that they are one cost. Well, it's not very well. There we go. It's not really showing on camera. So they are one cost. So if you're finding that you are creating a lot of resources and you don't really need that many starters, these are a pretty decent option. So Maxx and Dumpster Dive, they are basically the big brother of Expedite and Sprocket Rocket. So not necessarily upgrades, but possible side grades or sideboard options as well. Other one will be Crankshaft. I don't mind Crankshaft. I don't think I particularly like the red ones as much because I don't want to draw these. They don't pitch very well. I don't really want to attack 2 for 5 vanilla damage because it doesn't provide any on hits. It does block. So options that we have here would be Rev Up. If you remember Jumpstart, this is basically just the I like saying this big brother of that card. It is a 3 cost and it's a 6. And if you control Hyperdriver, this costs less. So it's basically giving you 3 more throttles. So pretty good pickup. would be definitely an upgrade I would do. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is, yes, you're going to say, oh, but you're removing all the crankshaft out of the deck. Look, the yellow crankshaft is fine. I just, like I said, I don't want to draw too many of these. If you put too many in your deck, you're going to draw them. You're going to end up drawing them for sure. So I want to remove some of these because I do think with the new equipment suite, especially the puffer jacket, our non-token hyperdrivers will stick around a lot easier. So you don't necessarily need that many crankshafts. So with that said, what would I replace it with? Well, I would replace it with Moonshot. Now, I really am keen to play with this card. It hasn't seen much play because it wasn't that great, but I think with this build, this type of Armory deck, I think it's time for it to shine, and I'll explain how it functions. Its cost is XX. Play this only if you've boosted this turn. As an additional cost to play this, destroy X hyperdrivers you control. When this attacks, it gets +3 attack power for each hyperdriver destroyed this way. If this has 10 or more attack power, it gets overpower. Okay, so there's a bit to unpack here. So let's say that, let's pull out the beautiful Azuardi special hyperdrivers. Let's say I'm controlling 3 and they all have, let's say, 2 steam counters on them. Meaning once I boost at the beginning of my turn, they won't break. The first clause of Moonshot, it says you can only play this if you boosted this turn. So we want our starters. That's why our starters are so important. So let's say I play a Dada Link and I boost it. So pay 0, boost, then 1 steam counter of each hyperdriver will tick down, giving me 3 resources to work with. Next, since I boosted this turn, now I can play Moonshot. Now again, the cost is XX, so if I want to destroy all 3 of my hyperdrivers, I have to pay 6. Now I have 3 resources here, so I would have to pitch a blue at this stage to be able to break all 3. Because the cost is double, so XX. So I pay 6, I pitch a blue, I pay 6, I decide to destroy my 3 hyperdrivers, I lose all the steam counters, I destroy the hyperdrivers, and then Moonshot is coming in for +9 overpower. So this is coming in for 12 overpower. It's a bit. It's a bit of damage here. And it looks like it's gonna be hard to put together, but honestly, I don't think so. In worst case, it's a 3 block. Worst case scenario. But I do believe this is one that is worth exploring at the moment. Okay, the other cards are not necessarily upgrades, but since we are looking at the Hyper X3, there's other cards that can synergize quite well with this one. So I would say maybe cards toward exploring or sideboard options. We have Recharge. So it's a 1 cost that says put a steam counter on a hyperdriver you control. The next attack you boost this turn gets +4. And it has Go Again. Now, it kind of replaces what Crankshaft does, but at least if we have it in hand, it will get the steam counter. The other one we have to hope that it gets banished. So we're recharging our hyperdrivers with 1 steam counter, and all of a sudden my Dada Link is coming in for 7, which is not bad. So paired with a on-hit recharge can be interesting. So the other card I want to talk about is not necessarily an upgrade, but it's a card that is worth exploring, let's say, since we're playing so many hyperdrivers in our deck. It is called Hyper Scrapper. So Hyper Scrapper is a Majestic as well, but is quite cheap to pick up at the moment. So what does it say? As an additional cost to play this, banish X items from your graveyard. When this attacks, it gets +X attack power. If 3 or more hyperdrivers were banished to play this, gain 6 resources, and this gets Go Again. And the cost of this is X. All right, so how does this work? So let's say I'm holding the 1 Hyper Scrapper, I'm holding one of my 0 cost starters, and I have a Moonshot. And I'm controlling 3 hyperdrivers. They all have 2 steam counters on them. And of course, I would need to have at least 3 hyperdrivers in my graveyard. All right, so I'll play my 0 cost card and boost it. So I boost and I create 3 resources on the back end of this. Then I would be playing Hyper Scrapper. The cost of X will be 3, since I have 3 resources and I have 3 hyperdrivers in my graveyard. I then banish my 3 hyperdrivers, and this will now give me 6 resources and go again. So this will gain +3, so it's going to come in for 5, go again. And now I can play my Moonshot. And I have 3 hyperdrivers. The cost is XX, and I just created 6 resources with Hyper Scrapper. So I don't even need to pitch a card for this one. It will pay for its cost, and then I will destroy all 3 of my hyperdrivers, and Moonshot will now come in for a total of 12 overpower. So 3, 5, and 12 overpower. And if you notice, I didn't pitch a single card in the process. So not bad. So I don't know how easy this is going to be to resolve. But again, like I said, it's worth checking it out and seeing if it is something that's going to happen often. Okay, so the last card I want to talk about, it is Supercell. So for those who are familiar with this card are probably going to say, well, you're not playing the Construct Nitro Mechanoid, and you're absolutely correct. We're not looking to play the Nitro Mechanoid in a budget list. It is quite an expensive card, but I think it's still worth a look. And let's see what Supercell says. Put X Steam counters on X target hyperdrivers you control. Create a hyperdriver token with X Steam counters. And the last part is, if X is 3 or greater, you may shuffle a Construct Nitro Mechanoid from your banish zone into your deck. So we're not going to worry about the last part of this card, but let's have a look at the first 2. So let's say I'm controlling 3 hyperdrivers, and they all have 1 steam counter on each of them. I decide to play Supercell, and the cost of X will be 3. I have 3 hyperdrivers, and I wish to pitch 3 resources into Supercell. Now that means I will put X steam counters on X target hyperdrivers, which is 3. So I have 3 hyperdrivers, so I will add 3 steam counters on each of my hyperdrivers I'm controlling. Then I create another hyperdriver token with X steam counters on them. So I will create another hyperdriver and add 3 steam counters on that one as well. So I mean, I think that's pretty good. Okay, and there we have it. So hopefully this will help you with your journey with the new Maxx Nitro Armory deck. So my final thoughts. I think out of the box, this deck is a slam dunk. I think the equipment suite is probably one of the best ones that we had so far. They synergize really beautifully with the deck, and the deck itself is really, really good out of the box. It's so easy to upgrade this deck to be competitive, in my opinion. So for those who are looking to grow with this hero, I think this product is a slam dunk. So good job, LSS. And again, if it's you, Carol, that had to do with the development of this deck, good job. I really, really like this. I think it's fun, and I really hope all of you enjoy it. So for those who are looking for a more in-depth video on this hero, I will have my So You Want to Play Maxx coming out, so make sure to check it out. So thank you for sticking around, and have a good one. Bye.